Last summer, I took a solo road trip through the mountains. I wanted some time away from everything, just me, my thoughts, and the open road. I was driving late one night when my car started sputtering and eventually died. I managed to coast to the side of a desolate road, completely cut off from civilization. My phone had no signal, and it was pitch black outside. I remembered passing a small town about 10 miles back, so I decided to walk there and look for help. After what felt like hours of walking, I finally saw a faint glow of lights ahead. As I got closer, I realized it wasn't a town, but a single house. It was an old rundown farmhouse, but at that point I didn't care. I just needed a phone. I knocked on the door, and after a moment, a middle-aged woman answered. She looked startled to see me, but eventually invited me in. The inside of the house was even more decrepit than the outside. The wallpaper was peeling, and the furniture looked like it hadn't been touched in decades. She offered me some water and let me use her phone. I called a tow truck, and they said they'd be there in about an hour. While I waited, I made small talk with the woman. She seemed nice enough, but had an odd way about her. Every now and then, she glanced at a closed door at the end of the hallway with a nervous look in her eyes. I asked her if she lived alone, and she hesitated before saying yes. About half an hour later, I heard faint shuffling noises coming from behind that door. I asked her if she was sure she was alone. She laughed nervously and assured me it was just the house settling. As the minutes ticked by, I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling creeping over me. The air inside the house felt thick, like something unseen was watching from the shadows. The old woman kept shifting in her seat, her eyes darting to that closed door at the end of the hallway, the one I now couldn't stop staring at. I tried to focus on anything else, listening for the sound of an engine, hoping the tow truck would arrive early, but all I could hear was the occasional groan of the house, the whisper of the wind outside, and that faint shuffling behind the door. "Are you sure no one else is here?" I asked again, my voice lower, my throat dry. Her response came quicker this time, almost too quick. "Yes, I told you, it's just me. The house makes noises sometimes. It's old." She offered me more water, but I declined. The glass she'd given me sat untouched, the water inside catching the dim light and refracting it strangely. There was a long, uncomfortable silence, the kind that stretches too far and fills the room with tension. I could feel sweat starting to form on the back of my neck, though the air was cool. "Are you sure the tow truck's coming?" she asked suddenly, her voice a little too eager, her fingers fidgeting with the edge of her skirt. I nodded, glancing at my phone, which still had no signal. "They said an hour. Shouldn't be long now." She nodded back, but didn't seem convinced. She got up abruptly and walked over to the kitchen, where she started fumbling with something, her back to me. I took the opportunity to glance back at the door again. It seemed ordinary enough, old wood, chipped paint, but something about it, something I couldn't quite place, made my stomach churn. Suddenly, there it was again, the sound, a definite shuffling, but this time followed by a soft thud, like something heavy being dragged across the floor. I couldn't take it anymore. "I heard that," I said louder than I intended. "That's not the house settling. What's behind that door?" The woman froze, her back still turned to me. For a long moment, she didn't respond. The silence stretched unbearably again before she finally spoke, her voice barely more than a whisper. "You shouldn't have come here." I stood, my heart racing now. "What do you mean?" She turned slowly to face me, her face pale and her eyes wide. "You weren't supposed to stop, not here." I backed up toward the front door, every instinct telling me to leave, but something in her expression, the quiet desperation, kept me rooted for just a second too long. "Who's behind the door?" I demanded, now trembling, my eyes flicking between her and that cursed door at the end of the hall. Her lips quivered, and then she said something that sent a cold shiver through me. "He doesn't like visitors." Before I could respond, the door at the end of the hallway creaked open, just a sliver. Darkness seemed to spill out of the gap like a living thing. My mouth went dry, and my heart pounded so loud I could hear it in my ears. Then I saw it, a pale hand, thin and skeletal, slowly reaching out from the darkness. It moved in slow, deliberate jerks, like it wasn't used to moving anymore. The woman's eyes filled with tears, and she took a step back, whispering, "I'm sorry." I didn't wait for an explanation. I bolted for the front door, but as I twisted the handle, I realized with horror that it wouldn't turn. Locked. Panic surged through me as I pulled and yanked at it, but it was no use. Behind me, I heard the door at the end of the hallway creak open further. The shuffling had turned into something else, something like a low growl, a rasping breath that filled the house. I spun around, and there, emerging from the darkness, was a figure. It was a man, or at least it had been once. Now, he was barely human. His skin was gray, stretched taut over bones, his eyes sunken deep into his skull. He moved unnaturally, each step a grotesque lurch. His mouth hung open in a silent scream, and his bony fingers reached out toward me. I backed away in terror, my body hitting the door. "Please, let me out," I shouted at the woman, but she was retreating into the kitchen, shaking her head. "You should have kept driving," she muttered, her voice distant and broken. "Once you come in, you don't leave." The thing was getting closer, its hollow eyes locked onto mine. I scrambled for anything I could use as a weapon. My hand found a heavy lamp on the nearby table, and without thinking, I swung it as hard as I could. The lamp shattered against the figure, but it didn't stop. It didn't even flinch. It kept coming, its twisted limbs reaching for me, its breath cold and damp against my skin as it got closer. Desperation took over, and I kicked at the window next to the door. The glass cracked. I kicked again, harder this time, and the glass shattered, sending shards flying. I didn't care. I threw myself through the opening, feeling the sting of broken glass cutting into my arms and legs as I hit the ground outside. I didn't stop. I ran. Behind me, through the broken window, I could still hear the woman's voice, faint but chilling. "He never lets anyone leave." I kept running, the cold night air filling my lungs. When I finally glanced back, the farmhouse was just a dark silhouette on the horizon, but in one of the upper windows, I could swear I saw the figure standing there, watching me, waiting. The tow truck never came. By the time I reached the main road, dawn was breaking. Exhausted, bloodied, and terrified, I flagged down a passing car. The driver took one look at me and didn't ask questions. He just drove. I never spoke of what happened that night. But sometimes, when I'm alone, I hear that faint shuffling sound. I tell myself it's just my imagination. But deep down, I know he's still out there. And I wonder, how many others stopped at that house and never left?